Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me today on the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. Today we are going to make one card together, and then I have another card that I made using some of the extra pieces that I have. And I'm going to be using this really beautiful honeybee stamp set and die set. It is called Grateful Gatherings, and it is from Honeybee Stamps and Kelly Taylor. And what I love about this stamp set is the sunflowers and the pumpkins. This wheel is really awesome. The die that cuts the wheel out cuts all of the spaces in between, and it also cuts out the different sentiments. So I went ahead and I grabbed these stamps in the set, and I'm going to do some really easy coloring, and so I'm going to do that coloring with some Catherine Pooler inks. And so I'm just going to take some different shades of Catherine Pooler inks and just not randomly apply them, but I am applying them with not too much concern about where each color goes. I just wanted to put a little bit of color on each of the stamps. And so the colors that I'm using from Catherine Pooler are lemongrass, shea butter, tiki torch, sauna, and then I'm going to come in with more of the orangey pinks, and that's going to be Tutti Frutti and Samba. And then for the leaves, I'm going to come in with the color Spruce, so I'll go ahead and add that. I am using a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock, which takes water fairly well. And so I'm going to go ahead and take my water bottle and just give all of the stamps a light spritz. So basically, I'm going to be doing a little faux watercoloring using the Catherine Pooler inks. And that first step is to go ahead and ink them up and get the image on paper. And again, I'm using Bristol Smooth cardstock because it takes this technique very, very well. And after I've stamped up my images, I'm going to leave them in the stamp. I'm going to clean them up and then leave them in the stamping platform for now. And I'll show you why I do that a little bit later in the video. But next I'm going to start with my faux watercoloring. And so I'm going to take the same inks that I used to stamp the images up and add a little swatch of those to my glass mat. And I started out actually adding these to my glass mat and then spritzing the colors with water. And then I decided to go ahead and just get a little container of water, dip that in the dip my brush in the water, and then dip my paintbrush in the color and then start coloring. This is a really easy way to kind of get that faux watercolor look. And because these are water reactive inks, basically when I take that color off of my mat and add it to each image, some of the color that from that stamped image is also going to blend in with the paint that I've got on my brush. And so I think it gives a really beautiful effect. So I'm going to start, and I'm just going to go over all of my images once with the different colors that I've used to stamp them up. So I'll keep coloring up all of those images. And then I actually did the middle image that I have stamped there. I actually did stamp that out several times and color it several times because I had a little bit of a different idea for the card rather than the way that it turned out. I ended up just using a single image in my card, and I had a different idea when I started. And so I did go ahead and stamp that image up several times because it's my favorite image from the set. But I'll go ahead and color the leaves, and I'm actually using the spruce color to color these, as well as the eucalyptus color. And once I have those colored, I'm going to set this aside to dry, clean up my space a little bit, and then I'm going to do the card panel. And so I'm using Bristol Smooth cardstock for this as well. It's cut a little smaller than 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm going to start by going over with the Catherine Pooler ink called Something Borrowed, and I'm trying to leave just a little bit of white space in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and blend that out with my blending brush, and I'm going to take the darker color. This is a really beautiful blue color. It's called Juniper Mist, and I'm going to go around the edges and blend that color towards the center as well. And then I'm going to create more of a shadow around the edges, and so I'll keep inking it up and adding that color just so that it's around the edges, kind of to create a frame with that color. And then once I'm done with that, I decided to go ahead and use up a little bit of that leftover ink from my mat. So I'm using a fan brush, and I have spritzed that leftover ink, and I'm going to dip my fan brush in that and then splatter that onto my background. And I also clean up the brush with some clean water and add some water spots as well. And then we'll go ahead and set that to dry. And then now this is why I left my stamps in my stamping platform. I'm going to go ahead and put my paper back into my stamping platform, make sure that it is lined up correctly. And then I'm going to take some VersaFine black ink. And this is just going to really set off that color really nicely. It's going to give a nice contrast between the black lines and the really pretty colors. And so it just defines it really nicely. And then I will take the coordinating dies and match those up with my images and run that through my die cut machine. And then I'm going to start assembling my card. And so I am using a Pinkfresh Studios die set, which I have taken 2 of, and created this diamond frame. I don't recall the exact name of it, but I will leave it in the description below. And so I'm going to add a little bit of liquid adhesive to this and kind of put it at an angle. And then for my floral image, I have already added some Scrapbook Adhesives foam squares, and so I'll pull off the backing of all of those little squares and add that to my card front as well. And then the sentiment that I'm using for this is a sentiment from the stamp set, and it just says thankful. I've colored that paper with a little bit of those yellow colors that I used to color up the flowers. So I add a little bit of liquid adhesive to the back of that. And the cool thing about the die set is that it cuts out the sentiments as well. And you'll see on the second card that I do, I just think it looks really fabulous with the sentiment because it just lines up perfectly. And then for the embellishments on this card, I'm using some Honeybee Stamps Harvest Pearls. And so once I've got that done, I splattered a little bit. I have not splattered it yet, but I will go ahead and add some adhesive and add this to a piece of brown cardstock, which really sets off that blue color really nicely. And then I'm going to grab some gold watercolor from my stash, wet that down a little bit, and splatter that on the card as well. And that's going to finish off the first card. For the second card, I just went ahead and I took the bigger image, cut it in half with my paper trimmer, used some foam on the back of it, and then put that up against the wheel stamp that comes in the set that I cut out with the coordinating die. Added the really beautiful sentiment, again, that the coordinating die just cuts out so beautifully. You'll see that on the close-up. I just love the way that that looks. And that's going to be it for me today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, I would love a thumbs up. Don't forget to go ahead and check out all of ScrapbookPal's videos, as well as subscribe to their channel. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you next time.